This meme's as of 11 to 9 p.m. on Sunday, the 24th of April 2022.
Idiot, Jeremy! You total fucking idiot! That was your job, you fucking moron! You cretin! You're a fuckhead! That's what you are! A fucking shithead! You
I don't like Peep Show, but that was funny.
Kraft mac and cheese. It's like my bathrobe and slippers had a baby on my tongue. Kraft mac and cheese. If your parents don't buy it, stop giving them.
No.
You'll take it to the freshman dance. And you'll get to first base.
What?
You guys Wrexham fans?
Please stop.
So good, you'll want to fire your grandma.
Cut!
Like laying in a warm, wet bed that you're not ashamed of.
Holy shit!
If you don't like it, I'll find you.
No!
Why won't he just say the line?
This might be my fault. He plays a 12-year-old me in the movie we're doing. I can fix this. Hey, Bart. Listen, you need to get in the
Kraft mac and cheese. Help yourself. And never stop loving your parents.
I really don't want to see that movie, The Adam Project or whatever it's called, because it's been done a million times and it probably didn't get good ratings. It's just your typical Ryan Reynolds movie, because ever since Deadpool they've been hiring Ryan Reynolds to do all these crappy comedy movies. They had Red Notice, if that was a comedy, I don't know. And a couple other stuff back, I can't remember them. Free Guy as well. Despite that video was funny. This Twitter as of 8/2. Fascism is trending in politics. And the first thing that pops up when you look at this fascism trend is the French election, with a photo of, I do not remember this woman's name, but I know that this woman is the competitor to the current PM, Emmanuel Macron, who is an absolute pussy and should not be the Prime Minister of France. Right? It should be this woman. I'm sorry I don't remember her name. Scroll down. That didn't feel good. Anyway, some guy said, democracy wins, fascism loses, screw Putin. What happened? Tell us. So I looked through the comments of that guy's post and I got nothing. Everyone was talking about France, but someone said, and don't forget about France as well. So I don't know if he's talking about France or not, because people were like deep faking Putin's face onto Marine Le Pen, that's that girl I was talking about, onto her body. If you know like what deepfakes are and all. And then there's also this guy, the French had the good sense to reject fascism, why don't we? Where do you come from? New England, which is in America. What fascism? Joe Biden is your president. Joe Biden, who you elected. It's your fault. If you believe that Joe Biden is a fascist, it's your fault. You elected Joe Biden into office. Far right was also trending, but it was just the same thing. Anyway, I'm going through footage right now filmed by person of a demonstration that took place outside Disney World yesterday in Florida. This is a new one. Florida politics is set different. Image description: a man wears a shirt reading "Trump was robbed" while carrying a hybrid LGBT pride/Confederate battle flag. I'm screenshotting this man. We found him. The ultimate centrist. It's like the French guy who slapped Macron. Cops searched his house and found Mein Kampf, Das Kapital, Rand, Mrs. Ducart, every offer from every part of the spectrum. He explained to the cops dozens of times what his beliefs were, and they still didn't understand. Please fit in the sneak box, sir, so we can judge you for it without repercussions. Pretty much this. Right-wing media wanted him to be far left. Left-wing media wanted him to be far right, but the cops told journalists, we literally cannot figure out what he is. Rage Against the Machine announced the summer 2022 European tour. Oh my god, the replies. Rage Against the Machine got ratioed. I don't like what they became, but their music still slaps. I know nothing by Rage Against the Machine, so I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, so you want the government to... I love this website. Libertarian state border control the free people's immigration and customs enforcement. I think communities should have a say in who enters their property. This helps prevent conflict. Why do you want conflict? Them some bad vibes. In case you're wondering, a bunch of high school anarchists found my hop tweet. You know, the types that started help me leave my abusive home go fund me because their parents told them to clean their room. I'm a libertarian who thinks people should be restricted in movement. Right, what don't you get? He's a libertarian, he's not an anarchist. You can be like... McCubry did this to me because I was against abortion, like 100%, when we were talking about it. And he said, oh, well, that's evidence that you're not a libertarian. Like, every time that the abortion question pops up in the poll comp, I always hit strongly agree because it's like abortion is evil. Strongly agree. And I still come out libertarian every time. Like, I have a couple of authoritarian opinions because I'm not an anarchist. Like, what's so hard to understand? But anyway, libertarianism is when you can just walk in everyone's private property. Oops. If I own factories in Mexico and Texas and I'm short-staffed in Texas, should I be able to bring Mexican workers there? Still Milan? No. Yes, you can literally do that since it is by invite. However, you bear the responsibility of anything they do while they're over there. Open borders should be eased into slowly. Over the course of decades, free travel agreements between countries add more and more as time goes on. Unfortunately, in order for that to work, strict border control would have to be maintained with countries outside agreement. Open borders should never, ever be a thing. Aren't you a libertarian? Yes, that doesn't mean people can just walk on whatever private property they want. Want to live here? Buy property. So open borders to anyone who can afford to mortgage a 30k crap type of nice house? Yes. Just to clarify, is this referring to the legitimate borders of private property owners, or the illegitimate borders of states, the former? Though, over time, eventually private property borders would reach the border of a neighbouring state's whole border, but of a line of private properties instead of a state border. Fair point. Well, to be fair, if they can buy property, they're most likely going to bring in money to the economy. Ding ding! You used to think they should. What changed your mind? I literally never ever said that. You don't remember saying something along those lines? You debate with Vosh? Nope. A lot of what I said was greatly exaggerated. And Vosh was saying, oh yeah, I won. No, he didn't. I disagree, Mark. The British Empire should have no borders. Come on, can we hurry up? I'm on 10%. Okay, so you're not interested in people's freedom of movement there, if you will. Liberty, you're a libertarian. No, they can go anywhere that isn't private property. Private property means authority over objects, meaning, again, you're not interested in liberty. So a person is not entitled to the products he crafted with their own labour. Well, calm down, authoritarian. Name a single thing you own that you made with your own labour. My entire garden, my custom deck, my custom drinks cabinet, a bunch of crap. According to you, I don't own that. So if a person builds and sells a house, they don't own it then? Who does? Property is a social construct. That's the first time that I've ever heard someone say that something is a social construct, and it's correct. But anyway, whoever people declare owns it, therefore owns it. But private property refers specifically to tools for capital accumulation, which are not used with one's own labour, but instead of the labour of others. So property is done by social consent, meaning no one ever owns the fruits of their own labour, which completely disincentives production as a whole. Just say you're a thieving commie and move on. That's literally how property works. Most people don't own the fruits of their own labour. They sold it to their bosses at the point of employment. Yeah, but Mark wasn't employed to build his garden. I guess you could say he employed himself, but then he would have given the garden to himself. If you want everybody to own the fruits of their own labour, you'd be advocating for a sort of local peasant production. You'd effectively be advocating for feudalism without taxes. Oh God, you signed a consensual agreement that you were not at all forced into to provide your labour in exchange for pay. My God, how awful are you, okay? You're right, you should just be able to steal while contributing nothing, you poor thing. You seem to be making up an argument that I'm not making. Your arguments are stupid though. It seems that you just want free stuff because you can't / won't contribute. You don't seem to know what my arguments are. You're trying to say that the concept of ownership does not exist and should be declared by everyone else. No, I'm saying that the concept of ownership is decided socially. Not a normative statement, but a descriptive one. Furthermore, libertarian is contradictory with the desire to restrict people's actions, movements, according to your personal conceptions of property. Fascinating. Can I come live in your house? I don't own a house, so I can't afford it. That says a lot. Otherwise, ask my landlord. He doesn't actually own it. Ownership is a social construct. You'll still have to ask him, because if you don't, you'll get in trouble with the state. You know, the Lord is kind of authority. We can both agree that the state is crap and cringe. However, private property with defined borders is based and avoids conflict. Private property is the very reason states exist. If the state did not exist, there would be nothing keeping my landlord from something rent from me, and nothing to keep the workers of a factory from just taking it for themselves. Property is authority over an object, and authority with does not please the masses requires the violent subjugation of the masses. Property over that which others must use is therefore incompatible with liberty. So if I plant a wheat field all by myself, do I get to keep it? Depends on the social context you're planting it. As I said, socially constructed. But I did all the work. It's mine. I'm sure you can claim it as your own, but other people would also want to use that field for themselves, or to simply take the wheat for themselves. You'll have to contest with society, because if I've stated property is socially constructed, cool, I'll defend it with force. What force do you have against an entire community? The whole community would most likely recognise private property rights, since they would like that right afforded to themselves. Natural rights formed away because states were a thing. Also 2A, so maybe grow your own wheat and not be a thief. You're supposed to be a libertarian, and yet you're advocating for people to obey their authority over a given produce. Libertarianism is when people have full control over their own private property. Private property is one of the primary central focal points of libertarianism. The fact that you don't know that means you don't even know what libertarianism is. That's literally like saying, you say you are a socialist, yet you keep talking about the means of production. No, the use of the word libertarian you're using is the liberal adoption of the word for those who want to be taxed less. The word was made by anarchists to describe themselves when it was illegal to publicly identify as anarchist. In essence, you're a liberal. Well, yeah, he is also a classical liberal on top of being a libertarian, because they sort of go hand in hand a little bit. This is what the word used to mean. Cool. It doesn't mean that now. You're arguing using an old definition that doesn't exist anymore. You don't have the faintest idea about modern day libertarianism. You just hate it since it means you have to actually produce. I don't care about modern day libertarianism, because you're all a bunch of liberals who get upset when you get taxed but are completely fine with wage slavery. Nobody here is arguing against production. It is the problem that production is controlled by a select few. What liberty is there in checking in with someone Checking into work every day to obey somebody else's commands so they can get a bigger company and you can subside. None, of course, you're barely a libertarian in name, and you're a communist that wants to steal because you're too lazy to produce, so others want to steal. So you want to steal the production of others, which makes you exactly just as bad. Worse, even. Workers at least get wages, you just want to steal. Also, I don't care about the thing we are literally debating. LMAO. Nah, I think they just take it all. They're not going to respect your 40 over a plot of land or a bunch of wheat because of some